Today's guest is David Socky, and he's a filmmaker. Would you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Dave Socky, and I'm a caver actually first, and do photography and videography in caving and in hiking. I've been doing this for, oh gosh, I don't know, 20, 30 years, whatever, pretty much since I started caving. I live in Roanoke, Virginia, and that's about it right now.
Uh, you've ran the National Speleological Society video salon for the last few years. Uh, Tell me about the video salon. What is it, and how
Sure.
did you become involved in it?
Okay. Well, actually, I became involved in it because I was involved with video. I was playing around with video and caving and so forth. And Alex Sproul was at the time. This was back in the, gosh, I don't know, the '90s. Was doing the video salon at the time with Paul Stevens and Lee Stevens. And I just naturally, fell into that because of my interest in videography and so forth. And the NSS Video Salon is a salon within the National Speleological Society, and so there was a photo salon, a video salon, a cartography salon for drawing maps, cover art salon, blah blah blah. There was a whole bunch of different salons within the NSS. The video salon is just one of them, and so Alex got tired of doing it, and so I more or less got talked into taking over as the chair of the video salon. The video salon more or less is a yearly competition at the NSS conventions, and it's to promote and encourage cavers and other people to make videos and productions about caving and cavers.
Well, you won the video salon this year.
Yes, I did.
It's coincidental because there are independent judges. So you just
Right.
you didn't pick your own video to win. It was
That's correct.
the board of judges. So it's not as fishy as it sounds. So tell me about the video that you submitted.
Well, actually, I did win this year, but it was actually a pretty good competition. We had some really excellent productions this year. We had a total of 9 productions. The video I did was called "Connecting Caves." That was about the connection between, which was a scuba dive between Maxwellton Cave and McClung's Cave in West Virginia, Greenbrier County, West Virginia. And this was a pretty big deal because Maxwellton Sink Cave was at the time around 22 miles long, and McClung's was 18 miles long. So it made for the second largest cave in West Virginia, and we're now number 9 spot in the United States. So what I did is more or less filmed the as we did it, the expedition where we took all the dive gear into the sump, which took about 3 hours or so. And I filmed the transfer of the gear and taking the gear into the sump, and then the sump dive itself. We had GoPros on the divers, but the visibility was maybe about a foot. So there was the in dive underwater footage was pretty useless. But I more or less put the video together and wrote the script and did the narration and chose the music and so forth, and that's it.
Well, shooting video in caves has changed over the last few years since you first got started. What kind of changes have you encountered in the equipment, lights, and practicality of doing it?
Well, pretty much. All the changes are, of course, for the better. The biggest change, of course, is the resolution. Going from standard 460 by 640 size resolution to high def and 4K and so forth. And then the light sensitivity of the cameras is pretty amazing nowadays. What I used to do is carry in big gel cell batteries. They're like small motorcycle batteries, with 50 watt, 100 watt quartz lights, and you'd have to carry in several of these things in order to use for lighting. Now the lighting is pretty much just our bright caving LEDs lights, and that's sufficient to for the cameras that are available these days. So,
What kind of cameras did you use to shoot your
so,
sunbathing video?
so actually, I'm primarily, like I said before, I'm primarily a caver, and videography is actually just it's kind of like a hobby for me. I do sell stuff or try to, and I'm not very successful at it. But so consequently, what I use is, and what I used in this production is, oh, there we go, is the simple Panasonic TM700. It's a 3-chip high def camera. It's small, and as you can see here, and it's lightweight and easy to carry through the cave. And I've been using this camera now for gosh, I don't know, 10 years or so. It's not a high-end professional camera. It's a prosumer camera, but it's actually does a credible job.
Does it shoot in high definition or 4K, or what does it shoot?
No, it's just high def. It's 1080p.
Well, that's perfectly good for videos. You just have to worry about your cropping a little bit better in the camera than you do with the 4K camera.
Right, right.
GoPros. What GoPros did you use?
So actually, Brian Williams and Zeb Lilly were the divers on the trip, and I think Brian had a GoPro which he supplied. And I'm not sure what model it was. Like I said, we didn't use any of the footage that he had from underwater because the visibility was so poor in the connection. So,
did you write the script for the film after you reviewed all the footage?
Yeah. Yes. And pretty much that's how I do most of a good portion of my videos is I have an idea of what I want to do and what the program is going to be about and what it's going to be like, and then I shoot a whole bunch of footage, and then I based on the footage I get, I derive and devise a script for it, and more or less do the script based on the footage I have. Yeah, and I especially did it this time too, and you know it's an interesting game because the film wasn't just totally about the dive itself. It included some history. So I had some footage from before, from other trips, and some. I did use some of the maps that we drew, some of the line plots, and did some animation for that. And I used some still photos to present the history of Max Welton and a little bit of the history of McClung's. So the script was based on that too.
I saw you had some what they call Ken Burns effect, where you're panning across stills and
oh yeah,
and zooming in on them. What are you editing with? Premiere or?
I use Adobe Premiere Pro. Yeah. So I've got the Adobe's production suite, which includes Audition and all the other Premiere or the Adobe products.
As you know, I'm trying to get the video section more active again.
Yes.
Created a Facebook page for it. What kind of advice or would you tell people that are cavers out there just shooting with their cell phones or a GoPro about getting into more serious cave videography?
Well, it's that's interesting because I've been using a still camera I've been using an Olympus, one of these little Olympus cameras here, and my son just recently purchased a Google Pixel 3 whatever phone, and his cell phone takes better still photos than my little Olympus camera does. And not only does it take excellent still photos, but it actually takes credible videos. Um, so, to be perfectly honest, and I think we talked about this, we might have actually brought this up before, is in talking about amateur versus professional and expert versus beginner videographers, um, and entering the salon. Um, it's not necessarily the equipment that's important. It can be, and it can make a big difference. But I think what's more important is the storyline and the script and the ideas behind it and the execution that you do. And you can make an excellent video. And as a matter of fact, you could make an award-winning video with, a cell phone. And people have done it before. I mean, you can see it all over the YouTube and so forth. So actually, my advice is to concentrate less maybe on the equipment and the costs and so forth, and more so on developing a storyline, and developing your story, and having a good narration and a good mix of music and narration and having excellent audio. Is probably more important than having a red camera, or an area camera or whatever.
Yeah, there's been a number of feature films shot by Academy Award-winning cinematographers on cell phones.
Yes.
Like, what is it, Steven Soderbergh? He's shot 2 films on iPhones.
Right.
And the first one that really made big distribution was one called Tangerine a few years ago, which was shot on an iPhone 5.
Right. Yeah.
And it got distribution through Sundance, and pretty
Yeah.
amazing stuff with the equipment.
Yeah. Yep.
So how do you put together a good story? What do you think makes a compelling story when you're talking about a video in general, not cave in particular, but what makes a compelling story for what's essentially documentary filmmaking here?
Oh, well, that's a hard one. That's hard. Um, uh, Actually, I guess I guess what really helps in general, I guess, is having a good introduction and then moving right along in the story. And I'm not going to speak about types of stories or anything. I guess more or less is that it's best to keep it tight, concise, quickly paced. Um, I see a lot of programs, submitted to the NSS video salon that are overly long, and a lot of people have a tendency to do that when they're editing a program. Is they don't they their scenes are too long, and they draw things out too much, and a lot of programs instead of 40 minutes would be fine and better and more compelling if they were 20 minutes long or even 10 minutes long. Something that's, because the attention span of people these days, especially on YouTube and so forth, is really short. and we're not producing, I guess, except for a good documentary, well, at least I'm not producing stuff for national TV and so forth where things are like an hour long. I'm more or less looking at things that are on the order of 20, 30 minutes or even shorter.
Well, as you're saying about all too long, look at my 53-minute documentary that I submitted this long.
Yeah, well, those aside, although your the black guides of the black guides of Mammoth Cave did very, very well, and actually did very well on the Caver's Choice too. My wife really liked it too, by the way. So.
Okay. Well, you've been recording cave videos and recording presentations at the NSS convention, and the earliest movie on your YouTube page seems to be one 2010 pre-convention video.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yep. I've done I don't know, I've probably done a half dozen pre-convention videos, or maybe even more. I don't know, but that certainly isn't my earliest movie. It's
Let's see ours on YouTube page. So.
Well, actually, I was doing stuff back in the mid '90s, and I guess on YouTube, what I have is I've got a number. Some of the ones that were really fun to make were the caving music videos that I've got. And those were mostly done in the late '90s and the early 2000s.
You have a website where you're selling your videos. What's your website address? And
it's HTTPS hodagvideo.com, and it's more or less I tried selling the things, and really, it's not very successful. Not a lot of people are willing to spend $10, $12, $15 or whatever for a caving video. I've sold a number of them, but actually my biggest success was the one I did for Grand Caverns in Virginia, in Grottoes, Virginia, which was called The Discovery of Grand Caverns. And it was actually about the cavers found some virgin cave in the commercial cave, Grand Caverns, and they more or less quadrupled the size of the cave. And it was really some beautiful stuff. I mean, Grand Caverns is a really nice cave. It's a really pretty cave. And what they found was really, really exceptional. But it was hard to get to. You had to go through a 9-inch crawlway that was 15 feet long, and then go through a bunch of tight stuff and so forth. And I produced a video on the discovery there, showing all the neat things that were in there. And I sold it through their gift shop. And I've sold probably, several thousand videos through their gift shop. And but that's actually the one that I've sold the most. But the other ones, well, yeah, a few here and there. I'm slowly moving stuff from that back onto YouTube, and just saying, never mind about trying to sell them. And I've been thinking about changing my website to a just a artsy type thing, where I actually display and show my YouTube presentations, because actually hosting the stuff on YouTube is actually pretty good, because it doesn't cost anything.
Yeah, I had my Black Guides video ran on PBS in Kentucky for several years, like a couple dozen times.
Oh, really? Okay.
It was played, and then I had it out for sale for DVDs and streaming and stuff, but I got just, lukewarm sales for it, so I decided to put it on YouTube so I could say, point us and say, here's something I made you can look at.
Right. That's exactly right. And that's what I do now with my stuff,
And yeah, I've got a couple other videos out there that are for sale, but I wanted something up there that was reasonably good that I could point at and say, see, I did this stuff.
Right. Yep. Understand.
What should I be asking you that I'm not asking you? What you have to say that I should be asking you right now?
Well, one of the things that's interesting is I do caving videos. I don't do just caving videos. I also do outdoor videos, and I've got. If you look at my YouTube channel, you see there's a bunch of stuff on hikes and so forth. I did one on hiking in Montana. We made an attempt on Granite Peak, which is the high point for Montana, and I actually produced what I thought was a fairly well narrated and which was a hiking guide to the Beartooth Mountains, and that was one of my forays into, well, let's see if I can sell something here. That's something I can sell to more than cave, because cavers, there aren't that many cavers around, and they're pretty cheap anyway. but you get out into hikers and climbers and so forth, and it's a bigger population. I thought, well, maybe having a guide to video guide to some of these areas with maps, and I included downloadable GPS tracks and so forth, um, and I tried selling that, but and that didn't sell at all. It's just, I sold maybe 5 or 6. And of course, I didn't advertise that much. I didn't push that hard. I could have tried harder to get stuff into gift shops in the national parks and so forth. And apparently you have to know somebody in order to get an in some of these gift shops, and especially the national park gift shops. It's not that easy.
They're not opening up to additional vendors at the moment.
No, not well. This is even just 10 years ago. That one I produced was about 10 years ago. Even back then, you still had to know somebody to get in. So I more or less gave up. And as a matter of fact, that was one of the ones I was just going to put on YouTube. I haven't done it yet, but I was going to put it on YouTube and say, "Here, look what I did." Like you said, "Claire, look what I did."
You're sitting in front of a sump. What sump is this?
So that's actually the sump in McClung's Cave. That's part of the dive that was in Connecting Caves, and that's Stephanie Petrie there on the right, looking at the dive. This is actually taken during the dive, so that was a lot of fun.
An appropriate background, then, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm in Blanchard Springs Caverns in Arkansas.
Ah, okay, gotcha. So what was cool about this dive was that the other side of the dive, the other side of the sump there is Max Welton Cave. That's the upstream Sweetwater, and to get to that point from the Max Welton entrance it takes about 4.5 hours of fairly easy or fairly quick travel time. So it's not easy to get to this sump, and actually we've been pushing and camping in Max Welton Cave now for 3 or 4 years, and still lots of cave left in there. And actually that was another documentary that I've been considering doing. This was a program on the exploration and survey of Max Welton Cave, which would be kind of interesting because there was a lot of exciting caving going on in there.
I was looking through your videos. You have videos of a few caves I've been to. I've been to like Warm River Cave.
Ah, okay, all right, yeah. Well, that was a fun one. That was Warm River Cave is in Allegheny County, Virginia, and it's a cave that's got about 4 miles in it now, and it's actually the water in there is from hot springs, and the water temperature there is anywhere from 65 degrees to, there are sections in there where the water can be as hot as 100 degrees Fahrenheit. There's one place in there that we call the hot tubs, which is literally a hot tub. I mean, the water is like 85 degrees. And we've been, when we first started working in Warm River Cave, it was only, maybe a little bit less than a mile long, maybe a little bit less than a mile long. And about 5 years ago, a group of cavers busted through some breakdown and found Going Passage going upstream. And we've been exploring it since. And the video that I did, or the program that I did, is actually one that I did with Phil Lucas. And he more or less scripted it out, and actually he did the narration. And it was a combination of slides and video. It was lots of fun. That was a fun one to do.
Well, I didn't actually do any pushing or anything in Worm River. It's just a little sports trip back to the the hot springs area of the cave.
Right.
Have you done anything down in as part of the Butler Cave system down there?
Yeah. I've been down in Butler a few times. I'm a on the friends list of the BCCS. So I've been, I don't know, in Butler about a dozen times or so, and been back to the Canton Lightroom, so forth, done some surveying back there, and helped them with some of the digs with Mark Mint and Bonnie Droms and Mark Hodge and so forth.
Sounds cool. It's been a long time since I've been back there, but my
Okay.
name's on the survey map.
Right. All right.
We surveyed like 1,200 feet one day. It's like a little
That's pretty
crevice up
good.
in the ceiling, and we pulled ourselves up in the crevice, and it was just a little wavy stream passage that went and went and went and went, and we just kept shooting down it.
Right. Right. Right.
I don't really have anything else to talk to you about. I just wanted a quick little interview, and
Okay. All right.
uh, so thank you for talking to me, and
Okay. I'm very happy to do that.
stop the official interview, and I'll post
Okay.
this someplace.
All right.
I'll send you a link.
Okay.